No love, it makes sense. Carefree.
What's good, y'all? This is your girl, Asha Sahu. Asha Sahu. I'm just coming here to really let you know who I am, and for me to get it out in spoken form, because I write a lot. If you follow me on social media, over the years I've had a lot of words about who I am and kind of like being guided, but honestly, that was more of an exploration of myself and me just putting it out there. It wasn't necessarily me owning it and embodying it in a confident way. It was really me exploring myself and just putting it out there because I was witnessing myself. And now I'm in a space where I really know who I am, and I know who I am in this moment. I used to have a business with a friend called the Evolving Sunflowers, and even before that, I always called myself an evolving sunflower, because once I started to witness my journey and started to become aware of what life was for me, I just always committed to evolving. And even as a little girl, I think I might have said this in another video or maybe on something I wrote, that I used to go into like my prayer closet. I used to have a prayer closet growing up. I've always been very connected to spirit, to God, to Allah, to the Most High, in a very intimate way. And I remember like when I would pray or when I would cry or have like a lot of emotions, I would go into my little closet, because shout out to my mama, because she is very grounded in her religion and very much connected to God. And I just always saw her. She always had a prayer closet or her prayer time, and I would just follow suit when I wanted to connect. And I always remember telling the Most High that I'm gonna always find you. Like, I'm always find you. Like, no matter what I do in this life, I'm always find you. And that was a hard thing for me. It's just something sweet about spirit for me that I don't like to stray away for too long. It just doesn't feel like home to me when I do. And yeah, and so I do want to just share myself in word, spoken from my own mouth, who I am and what I do and what I offer, and even just my perspective on everything. I do want to make a disclaimer that I'm not for everybody. I don't want to be that. I ain't God. Like, I'm not God in that sense. I'm not. I'm not the totality of life itself. I am a part of it, so that makes me the totality in my own being. But I do know that everything that I receive and all of the wisdom and the information and the knowledge that I have through the different mediums that I guide and teach from are not meant for everybody, and it's even not meant for the people, like the people who do align with what I do and what I speak and what I teach. It is not meant for them to fully encompass everything that I speak out, because I know throughout my own journey and throughout all the different spaces that I've been through and had to grow in and out of, that it's not, I receive all that information and all that wisdom for me first. And I take everything that I do and everything that I say totally, but whoever is connected to me and aligned with me to work with me or to listen and to gather information from me it's not meant for you to take all of it as just you. You take, I said it in my last video or 2 videos ago, take the meat, throw the bone. And if you feel like it's all meat in that time, eat it till it's sweet. But if you only feel like it's a bone and ain't nothing for you, throw it out. Keep it going. Keep it scrolling, and go find your home, because that's what we're here for. We're here to find our home, which is our body, which is our spirit, which is our heart, our mind. It is definitely a part of the body, but our mind is more collective than it is individual. And I say that because a lot of the things that we have programmed into our mind comes from outside influence, when our home and our body is an inside influence, and it is an inside motion and notion. So let's get into it. My name is Asha Sahu. I birthed that name through a poem when I was doing some, like, what we call shadow work, when I was really witnessing myself, and it was some spaces that I didn't, ancestrally, personally, and in my immediate family, that I was really having to transform. Like, I would call myself the black sheep who was loved. Like, my family loves me, bro, but I am so different than a lot of people in my family. I move different, and so even getting to the space that I am now, I'm an immigrant in Costa Rica. I do not call myself an expat, because what is that even? Is that a colonialized word that makes us feel comfortable for being on a different land than ours? I don't know. I don't really feel it. It's not really my word. I came to Costa Rica to, one, because I felt called here, and I felt spirit nudging me outside of my homeland to, one, be able to really sit with myself, and to really be able to witness myself, and to kind of get into nature so that I can really connect to spirit, and to feed and consume myself more holistically, because you'll find out later, I'm a server, so I can be consumed in other people way too much. I'm also a Libra, in the 4th house. We'll get into that. But so people pleasing is very easy for me. So I noticed throughout my life, because I've been traveling and living in different places since I was 20. When I turned 20, I moved to Arizona in hopes to get to California, because I wanted to go to school there in California. And after that, I moved back home. Then me and my sister, we moved to Charlotte. We stayed in Charlotte for like 8 years. Then in between those 8 years, no, I really don't know how the timeline works, because I'm not actively thinking about it, but I also moved to Chicago. And I've just been a mover. I'm a mover. I'm a mover. Fluid movement, connected movement, that's me, my boy, my girl, my ladies. I'm all that. So, I'm gonna wait for this car to go by. So yes, I am a mover, and I feel like as I moved away, it helped me regain or remember different parts of myself. I've grown so much from all the movement. I've connected with so many different beings who have allowed me to really sink into myself. I don't know if I want to say this, but the good, bad, and the ugly, like all of the above, the shadow, the deep, 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 deep shadow. Spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, I have allowed myself to go grab my own key, to go deep within. But we consider hell and rise above it, and to take myself out. And I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and I don't ever think that's gonna stop. I don't even feel that. Like, I just honor evolution within myself and within life itself. So I just honor that. And along the way, I've gathered some titles that really helped me as a person who serves, who has a heart to serve. I even worked in the restaurant industry as a server for 10 years. I have worked with startup companies all my life. Like, I have never worked with a corporate company that wasn't a startup. So I feel like I had to serve my own energy and with my own knowledge and my own wisdom to these spaces for growth. And I actually enjoy that. Before, I wasn't enjoying it so much like in the past. I don't feel like I realized how much I enjoyed it because I don't think I was receiving, it wasn't very reciprocal for everything that I would put out, but it really did show me that this is my home, is to serve, and it is to give. And even in spiritual settings, I was a part of a cult. I mean, you can call it that. I really was. We were Christians. We were acting out the Acts 22 or something like that. The people in the Bible who like met up every day, and it was beautiful for the moment. But as I got out of it, I realized like that wasn't it. It was a lot of manipulation, and it's no judgment. I'm not even holding on to it anymore. But that was just a part of my story. But even in those spaces, I realized that the Most High had a call for me, and I chose to answer and branched out. We all kind of branched out together into. I'm not a Christian. I have a way of life. Taoism is really sacred to me, and I just resonate with a lot. I don't really have one particular way of life, but I honor the sacredness of the Most High, of spirit, of nature, and of people, and connection and community. So maybe one day I'll have an answer for that, but in this moment I don't. And I'm okay with that. It feels good where I'm at right now. But I do feel like there will be something one day. Sufism, I'm very interested in that. In a heartstring way, like I feel very called to it, but I do have a mentor who is Sufi, and I just honor and love her as a being, and I love when we do get to connect and I do get to listen to her and receive from her. It feels very aligned to my energy and to my aura. Pero I haven't deeply studied it, and I haven't, so I don't have a religion, and I just feel like I have a way of life. Anyway, who I am, and I'm just a spirit body that moves in a human body, and they're very much integrated now. Like, I feel that my movements are all led. I had always felt that way, and it was hard for me to, challenging for me to accept that, because I was going against many grains of how I grew up, of how I even thought myself. And that's why I said the mind is a part of the body, but it's really a very collective thing, because the renewal of my mind for me to actually be in alignment with who I am and where I am going looked a lot different from what I learned for all of the 24 years of my life before I started to just go on my own journey. So yeah, I say that all to say, as I've come into myself, the Most High has showed me my gifts, and now their talents, and I offer them holistically, righteously, sacredly, because I don't play with spirit. and it's just not what I do. I mean, sometimes I get into the spaces where I'm like, I don't want to do nothing like that right now because it's a lot. And as you're learning and you're learning to embody it, it is so challenging. You go up, you go down, you go down to the down some more, and it's just like, why do I keep putting myself through this? But I'm grateful that I stuck it out because I'm actually seeing and witnessing the connections that I'm aligning into now where they feel also like home. Before, I didn't feel at home with my environment. And I wasn't being myself. I wasn't fully in myself. I was morphing into so many different things, and that didn't feel good either. So I'm grateful that I stuck it out, and I know who I am, and I've done a lot of studying. I study a lot. I receive a lot of information intuitively. I hear the Most High speaking to me. I feel the presence of the Most High with me all the time. And I'm showing myself that information can come to me from outside forces, and if I don't feel like I receive that from me, I won't take it in. But if I feel like it is for me, I will certainly take it in. And that just led me down the path of being a mover, a movement guide, energy worker. I am an astrologer, and that is something I studied. Like, you have to study astrology. It ain't no So, little quick story. When I first started studying astrology, and honestly, I was really just offering readings at the time for me to learn more, not necessarily for me to be an astrologer. So it took a long time for me. I think I'm just now comfortably saying that I'm an astrologer, and that was 7 years ago when maybe 5 years ago when I started reading other people's charts. But I've been studying it for 7 years, almost 8 years, and when I started offering it to others for me to read them, I was not calling myself an astrologer, and I had a friend at the time who was like, "You're an astrologer, you're so good at it," and I'm just like, but I just didn't feel it because I was definitely a baby, and I felt like a baby, and I don't feel like, I personally believe that when we first start learning something, that it's our due diligence to not act like we're the teachers in it. But I kind of was influenced to take on the astrology role pretty early. And when I wasn't comfortable with it, I would call myself an intuitive astrologer. And then the more I studied, I was like, that's not a thing. Shout out to Raku. Shout out to Umi Genevieve. Shout out to Marie. I will butcher her last name, but it's like, she's connected to Raku, I believe. I don't want to butcher her last name, but I can put her name somewhere along here. But they are beautiful teachers for me. And I've learned so much, even just following them on social media, on YouTube. I don't necessarily resonate with astrologers being intuitive, and I don't resonate with being an astrologer who gives you personality traits. It's really about calculations. It is a numbers thing. It is a real ancient technology that I hold very dear and I take very seriously when I am doing readings and giving it to the people. And I'm also, when it comes to astrology and when I do readings, I do have a small form that I give to my clients that kind of tells me where they are in their journey and if they know anything about astrology, because I will speak to it on their level. And even when I do movement ceremonies and journeys for energy work, I make sure that I speak to people. It's very intuitive for me with the movement and the energy work, but I feel like the Most High always leads me to speak to people where they are and not necessarily the space of wisdom and knowledge. How can I say that? I just bring it to the level of the person, and that's not saying I'm higher than or lower than. We're all equal, but when you're teaching something or when you're giving information, you have to gift it to the person where it's digestible, and that's all I'm really saying. So, yeah. So I am an astrologer, and I 100% believe in this ancient technology, and I really have this feeling about it that it is so sacred that although it is already a tool that is being used kind of worldwidely, everybody knows about it, everybody talks about it, everybody knows their sun sign, their moon sign, and all of these things, which is great. Pero I believe that the Kemetic Egyptians, the Mayans, and all of these ancient modalities were using it for something far greater than just our personality, far greater than just our figuring out who we are as people. I feel like we had a knowing of ourselves already, and so we didn't have to use it in that way. But I feel like as we are remembering it, it goes from learning your personality and then learning who you are and then letting it guide your journey. But I'm going to talk about that in a different, an astrology-focused video. So I am an astrologer. I've been studying for 7 years. I feel very grounded. I feel very knowledgeable in it, and I feel very comfortable with providing that service for people who are on the journey to knowing yourself and wondering what movement is for yourself. And that's why I also feel very connected to me being a movement guide. Astrology is the movement of stars. It is, in technical form, it's the study of stars, like astrology, the word. But as an astrologer, I am watching the different patterns, the different codes, the different movements of the stars, and I'm allowing it to be brought down and spoken out in human words. And I also am very connected to energy work and the 7 subtle bodies. So when I am, as a movement guide, I hold space for beings to feel into themselves, the good, bad, the in-between, all that we are in the now moment, and I help find the energy to release and to bring forth, to give and receive. It is a giving and receiving work, and I do that to help people root in themselves. And so I also call myself a root worker, but not in the traditional sense. I do feel very connected to it because I do have family in my past who, like, a part of my lineage who are actual root workers, and I haven't studied that, so I can't call myself a traditional root worker. When I say root worker, I mean getting to the root of who we are. And maybe it's essentially the same thing, but technically I can't say something that I haven't studied in a deep and intense form. Like, I can call myself an astrologer because I studied, and I can call myself a movement guy because I've studied movement. I've studied sound. I've studied breath. Like, not just with books. Yes, with books and online, but I've also have gained teachers in movement. I had a qigong shifu, and I have done African dance classes. I've studied people's dissertations about movement and how it can help us heal emotionally, physically, mentally, emotionally, so that you can become one with yourself and root down and grow up, and expand and bloom and blossom. So I feel very connected to that. But I also, most importantly, have I have a very beautiful connection to spirit, and I can say that very much confidently because I don't even be knowing where it comes from. I mean, I know where it comes from, but at the same time, it's like it's a gift it was a gift. It is a gift to have a connection to the Most High purely, and it was before. It's always been that way for me. I used to, when I was younger, I used to have dreams, and I used to go to my mama, and we used to dissect dreams. We still low-key do that. Dissect dreams together, and it would be very accurate. So it's a natural gift, my connection to God and the way that I process life. Even if you look at my astrology, it says the same thing, and if you look at my human design, it says the same thing. So I feel very comfortable with saying that I'm a movement guide. I feel very comfortable with saying I am an astrologer. I feel very comfortable with saying I'm a postpartum doula. One, I can be a postpartum doula because I've done it. I've studied it. All my research papers throughout school, high school, college have been, well, not all of them, but most of them have been, because I used to want to be, I used to want to be an OBGYN. And then holistically, I have so many different, hola! I'm going to pause.